I didn't take a break literally for a 5 month stretch. Every single day I worked. And after that, I remember sitting back and it was probably for 2 weeks. I felt depleted. I was like, okay, I can finally breathe. And I will tell you, I will not do that again.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about burnout. And when I went about creating my business, it was really important to me that I created a business that fit into the life that I wanted to have rather than creating a business and then fitting my life into that. That's just not what I wanted.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Hey friends, welcome back to the show. I am excited about today's Turquoise Talk guest, Megan Tobler. So she is the host of her own podcast called the Self-Starter Podcast. And she has a vibrant community designed for women who are building businesses while balancing life at home. Y'all know that's what we talk about here on the podcast. So as someone who has transformed her own journey into a thriving space for connection and growth, Megan has firsthand experience navigating the challenges of entrepreneurship in life. She's passionate, and you'll hear that in our conversation, about empowering women to pursue their ambitions unapologetically and sharing relatable advice, actionable strategies, and real life stories. Through her self-starter, Megan has cultivated a space where women can find the tools, the inspiration, and the confidence to thrive both in business and in life. So you're gonna love this conversation, just an honest conversation about mompreneur life. She is in the throes of having a little one, and mine are almost grown and flown at this point. So it's really fun to go back and talk about life with little kids and how to navigate business as a mom and as an entrepreneur. So she is great. You're going to love this interview. So let's get right to it. All right, friends, welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited for another Turquoise Talk guest today, Megan Tobler. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Martine. I've been really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, yes. I'm all about getting mom entrepreneurs on this podcast to just talk about life, talk about business, and balancing and harmonizing all of the many hats that we wear. So let's just start out with a little bit about you and your family and what kind of got you into the work that you're doing today. What's that journey for you?
Yeah, so my biggest title today is mom. I have an almost 2-year-old as we're hitting record. He's 21 months old, so I'm a relatively new mom, but I don't take that title lightly. He is like my pride and joy, and everything that I do today is for him. I have a husband who works a lot, so that's part of my story here that we'll also talk about today as to why I created the business that I did. I have a little mini golden doodle who is also my pride and joy, and we live in California. So prior to really starting this family, I had an over 10-year corporate sales career. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was chasing money and promotions,
Yeah,
and I honestly was working around the clock.
yeah,
So being in a commission based, I know you did prior direct sales. So
yeah,
being in a
yeah,
commission based role, that's how I made my money. I mean, I did have a base
yeah.
salary, but you only make money if you're actually selling deals. So
Right,
I was
right.
working around the clock and really never taking a break. And I was commuting up to 3 hours to and from work every single day. And I knew that one day I wanted to have a family. But
Mm,
with that current lifestyle, I had no idea how I was going to really make that a reality, how I was going to be the kind of mom that I wanted to be, but also have the financial impact on my family that I knew that I wanted to have as well.
yeah,
So I didn't know exactly what kind of business that I wanted to start, but I started with taking a step back. And when I was in corporate, analyzing, okay, what is it that I am good at naturally? And what is
Mm,
it that I enjoy doing? And from there, I began to get curious. I said, okay, so I love talking to people, I love hearing their stories, and I love helping people. And I want to start a business. So why not interview other women who
mm,
had taken the leap out of corporate and started something of their own?
yeah,
Well, that's honestly where this all began, was a genuine curiosity because eventually I knew that I wanted to have a different life.
yeah.
I hit record in October of 2022, and from there, the rest is really history.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. As a fellow podcaster, there's so many amazing women like you that I would never have met had it not been for having a podcast and just being able to have honest, open conversations about life and about business. And again, I would never know that you even existed in the work that you do if I didn't have this podcast. I know you feel the same way. And while someone might not resonate with my story, they might resonate with your story. And I just think there's so much power in every single person's story. I tell people all the time, like, I don't turn down very many people that ask to come on the show unless they're like a man who is like completely out of the realm of what my people want to listen to. And I've had a couple of men interviewed on the podcast, but it was for a very specific topic because I just believe so much in the power of a story.
I agree. I agree that every single person has a different story and you will relate to things more than others based on your life experiences. And I will say that hitting record and just opening up the door to
Mhm.
all these conversations, that was life-changing because
Yeah.
you said if it wasn't for this, you and I would never have met.
Mm-mm.
Most of the women out there I would never have met because we are in completely opposite sides of the country, let alone the world
Right.
sometimes. And
Right. Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
not only opens up your world of possibilities, but it also just like allows you to have a different mindset because
Yeah.
you're opening up, you're getting introduced to different ways of thinking as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, you're a mom of a little right now, and mine are 17 and 20. And so um, we have different challenges, right? We're still trying to, you find harmony with between work and life, but it's going to look very different from me and you in that season. I know we have moms who are listening today that some are in my season and some are in your season. So for someone who is in your season, like, and maybe they are still in corporate and they're wanting to make that leap or wanting to make that transition, what was some of the most helpful things for you? I heard that you paused and just got really clear and then just kind of took a next step. But I just would love to hear from you again, like for the person who's listening, who's like, yeah, I don't want to be in corporate anymore. I want to be able to have a flexible, opportunity to build a family and build a business at the same time. What would be some helpful tips for that person?
So I also want to preface this with saying that I actually didn't finish like my plunge into entrepreneurship, let's say, because the podcast was really just dipping my toes into the water, like seeing what I enjoyed, where I wanted to go.
Right.
That was in October of 2022. January of 2023, I hired a business coach. And I
Okay.
set the intention to say that I wanted to be out of corporate within that next quarter. Then, literally a week or two later, I found out I was expecting my son. So
Okay.
I go to probably my first or second meeting with my business coach, and I said, okay, we're gonna have to pause, pump the brakes a little bit because I don't know if I'm ready for this big of a transition right now. Like, let's
Yeah.
get me through the pregnancy and through like with postpartum that way. And then you got to be very careful with what you put that out there into the universe because you might just get it. And so
Yes.
right after I announced my pregnancy to my company, I was a part of a mass layoff. And so overnight,
Wow.
I was thrust into really great money, or I was going from really great money to actually zero income from a
Hmm.
personal standpoint. And so I took a step back and I had a moment of panic, honestly.
Yeah.
But so I went and I actually had 40 interviews with other companies in the span of 2 weeks. And each one of these conversations, it was clearer and clearer that I was not meant to move forward in that
Mm.
anymore. So I had a conversation with my husband and I said, this is what just happened the last 2 weeks. I can't go back. So we took a look at our finances and we realized, okay, if not now, then when?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
decided to really go all in on my entrepreneurial journey at that point. So I would say that I was kind of catapulted into this life
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit more quickly than I would have maybe anticipated. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as for those people listening, I would actually recommend doing it differently than I did.
Mm,
Because when I was catapulted in, I hadn't really planned ahead. I typically recommend, like my husband and I, we did have savings in place, but I
yeah.
hadn't personally like really planned for this. This was something that
Mm-hmm.
just happened. So I would always recommend that you either continue to work a, a job, whether it's like the standard job that you had, or maybe you find something that maybe doesn't pay as much, but it allows you to fuel the job that you're creating, and
Yep.
then do this on the side. Or make sure that you have a really long runway built up to be able to support you,
Mm-hmm.
because if you go on social media, it looks like people just have these overnight glamorous,
Yeah.
well-funded businesses.
Yep.
And
Yep.
for the majority of us, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So, in order to move forward in your business in a state of abundance and make decisions based on what's right for the business rather than being in a state of lack and what's just going to bring in immediate income, I
Yeah.
really recommend having those two in place because it took me a long time to truly make this a business.
Yeah. 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 And, the added pressure is just not helpful long term, So I'm just thinking about even if you don't love where you're at right now and you're just like, I hate my job, I hate my life, and I have this other passion that I really want to pursue. Just you changing your thoughts about your current job and your current circumstances is possible. You can really create a drive for the other business without leaving the current one. You just have to change your thoughts about it. I know you and I talked about this when I came onto your podcast, but really like the power of your thoughts and being able to manage your brain around, oh, this job is life sucking, or I don't love it, or I really have this other thing I want to pursue. I think it's really smart that you point out, like, but we want to be smart about it. Right. We don't want to put yourself in a place where you're coming from lack and scarcity and pressure because that from a sales perspective puts you in this like got to get the sale and it's in get energy versus like how can I be in the best service of my clients and the business that I'm wanting to build. So I think it is really smart to think about that, but that doesn't mean you have to hate every day you go to work because you're not where you want to be. You can actually change your thoughts about that current job and just use it as a springboard to where you want to go next. Like I remember when I was transitioning out of direct sales into my current business, at one point I was building both at the same time. For about 5 years, I was building both at the same time. And I remember trying to like really keep them separate. And that was really hard to do versus how is what I'm doing over here actually helping set me up for what I want to do next, right? Like I don't have to separate the identities. It's this is an identity that's helping me to become who I need to be for this next thing. So I would also like if you're going to find what you're looking for. If you're looking for the job that's sucking the life out of you, right? You're going to find it. If you're looking for, hey, there's actually people I know in my current job that might actually be able to connect me, or they might be your ideal audience. I mean, you have no idea. But if you're not looking for it, you're going to miss it.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting because when I was in corporate, I clearly had these thoughts and like these ambitions to be able to find something that really like sparked my soul and fulfilled me on
Hmm.
more deeper levels. And what
Hmm.
was interesting is that people in my corporate job weren't talking about it because people were afraid because they thought if they talked about like wanting more for themselves,
Yeah.
they'd lose their job. But what was interesting is when I did take that plunge out of or corporate, I realized that everyone was having, like, most of these people were having these thoughts. They were afraid to say it in the actual work setting.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really interesting that if you're kind of sitting in your job and thinking that you're the only one feeling this way, like the power of connection and just
Mm,
vulnerability sometimes, like you'll
yeah.
feel so much less alone in kind of this journey as you're potentially thinking about what your next move is going to be. But I completely agree with you in the fact that it's all about mindset because
Yeah.
there were definitely things about my job that I didn't like, but the fact that I was starting this podcast while I was also working, that
Hmm.
gave me a level of fulfillment that I really hadn't, that I was missing in my
Hmm.
corporate job. So sometimes even just finding something that lights you up, it
Yeah.
boosts your mood in the other aspects just because it was a gap that was needing to be filled.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's up to us to do. You can't look for outside factors to be able to change that for you. You have to change that yourself.
Yeah. It's definitely an inside job. And so, for me, it's always coming up with I'm working on, like that's kind of the phrase that I use. Like I'm working on moving out of this career into the next career. So that keeps me in the land of possibility versus I'm stuck here in this job that I hate and it's life sucking and all of those things. So it's definitely an inside job. And you brought up a good point with, other people that are having some of the same thoughts. And I was actually talking with a peer the other day, and she's been a professor and she's also a coach, and she's trying to figure out how to, like, she's afraid to kind of go all in on her business because of what her peers are going to say, or maybe what the university is going to say. I'm like, look, they're going to come up with a story unless you tell them the story. Like, just go to the people at the school and tell them, hey, I'm going to start pursuing some coaching. I'm not leaving, because she actually loves her job that she's currently in, but there's more, right? There's more impact that she knows she wants to make. And so I think we just have to realize that not everyone's going to shoot down our dreams. Some might, but you telling the story of, hey, I'm still going to be here and doing my job and fulfilling what I said I would do, but there's more I'm going to be talking about. So if you see me talking about this other business or other opportunity, I think people will be pleasantly surprised. There'll be more people on board, and more people are like, wow, look at her go. Like when I left 31, it was kind of like, I knew that the story was bigger. I knew it was going to give so many more women hope to change and to actually decide differently if they weren't happy somewhere, and if I had to go first, then I was willing to do that. And I think for you too, the same thing, even though you were catapulted out, you still gave a lot of people probably in your corporate profession like hope that, oh, maybe I can do something different. I'm not stuck here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked what your point that you said about basically controlling the narrative. If
Yeah.
you are responsible, like if you take the power and the control to be able
Mhm.
to tell them what's going on rather than them making it up themselves, like it's going to be a lot smoother. And like I just mentioned, I came from a sales background. So in the company that I was with, LinkedIn was what they really pushed us to be able to create a personal brand around at the time. And
Yeah.
they actually were encouraging us to be able to create our own presences because that's what people were connecting with
Yeah. Yeah.
actually brought business into these into them, even though like we weren't necessarily talking about the company. We were talking about things that mattered to us because they people buy from people.
Yep.
And it's a relationship game. And so that's like by us building our personal brand and controlling that narrative, then people wanted to work with us. So I wasn't the biggest on LinkedIn, but one of my counterparts, he was a LinkedIn influencer. And I will
Yeah.
say that he brought in tons of buyers, and he wasn't a good salesperson, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but he had a
Yeah.
great online presence. So
Hmm.
that does wonders because he was controlling the narrative
Yep.
there. And so people liked him.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, let's shift gears a little bit just into motherhood. And as you've, launched the podcast and launched the community and working to build this business with a little one in the house, what are some of the things that you have been proactive about to protect your time, protect your peace, and protect your energy as you're raising a 2-year-old and building a bit? You birthed two things. You birthed a baby and a business at the same time.
I literally did. I know. I talk about like that two identity shifts that I went through simultaneously, and it
Yeah.
was it was a big change all at once, but nothing that I wasn't able to handle. And it was a challenge, but I welcomed it with grace.
Yeah.
As far as motherhood and entrepreneurship, the biggest thing I've learned is that how much I can get done in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Being in the working world, you would have 8+ hours a day to get something done, and you would get it done in those 8 hours. But I could
Hmm.
do that same amount of work now in a 2 hour window because I have to be more intentional with the time that I do have. So
Yeah.
I've learned that I'm very much a go-getter when when I need to get something done. So it will get done in the
Hmm.
time that I have. And I think that's as in my conversations with all these women and all these moms, that is something that I've learned across the board is we are very intentional with the time that we do have, and we are complete rock stars because we don't have any other choice but to get it done. Whether you are building a business or whether it's like getting all the chores done and getting the meal prep done and all the errands done during a certain amount of time, like we get it done.
Yeah.
And then also, I would say putting boundaries in place.
Mm.
I have always been a people pleaser, and it's something that I have to work on every single day. It's
Yeah.
because I want everyone to be happy. And I
Mhm.
know that as a mom, I have to put my family unit and my son specifically at the season of life first.
Yeah.
My husband's obviously included in that, but like on a day-to-day basis, but
Yeah.
like my son is there, he depends on me
Hmm.
100%. And
Hmm.
so I have had to say no to opportunities and friendship, like going out, like outings, and
Yeah.
sometimes saying no to things that I really want, but I know it's not going to be what's best for like the situation right now. So temporarily putting these boundaries in place, saying no to certain things in order to be able to make sure that moving forward, we're setting ourselves up for success. So that's been like the two biggest things that I think that I've learned in this season of life.
Yeah. It's like the self-concept and the growth of your self-concept, who you were before you became a mom and an entrepreneur is one self-concept. And then for you to simultaneously, it has to feel so empowering to know that, oh my gosh, what I used to get done in 8 hours, I'm actually getting in two right now. Like
Exactly.
it's just like an immediate elevation of who you are. It's a new identity you've had to become. And I think that's a really important point to make for the women that are listening is, like I hear people say, well, it won't be like it always was, or I can't do what I used, or, it's like, it's going to be different. I'm like, yeah, but different doesn't have to mean like bad.
Worse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it could be absolutely amazing. Like you're becoming someone who is able to build a business and have motherhood, and it is possible without burning yourself out. And so it is just raising that like belief in your self-concept and self-trust that I got this. I can do this. Yes, I'm going to have to make some sacrifices where it matters most. And I think that's where a lot of people, I don't know if you find this, is where they kind of get mixed up, is they don't really know what the priority is. And so everything feels like the priority. And if you put people pleasing on top of that, you start running around like you're on fire. And that's when the
Yep.
burnout creeps in. So have you ever experienced burnout before? Hey, friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up, and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
Martine is probably the most versatile coach out there. She meets you where you are, whether it's personal or professional challenges, mindset, ideas, brainstorming, or digging into business analytics. She's so relatable and accepting that I truly believe she could help almost anyone.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with free times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show.
Yes, I would say that when I was launching my community, I decided prior to that to be able to go on Instagram every single day for about, it was like a 4 or 5 month period and create this reel. I was doing everything because I didn't have the funds to be able to outsource. So I was literally doing everything to be able to, from a marketing, from a sales strategy, from the back end, learning all the tech jargon and building my
Yeah.
websites, all of that at once in a relatively short amount of time. And every single second that I had before my son woke up, during nap time, after he went to bed for hours, on the weekends, I didn't take a break, literally for a 5 month stretch. Every single day I worked. And after that, once the community launched, I remember sitting back, and it was probably for 2 weeks, I felt depleted. I was like, okay, I can finally breathe. And I will
Yeah.
tell you, I will not do that again.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about burnout, and when I went about creating my business, it was really important to me that I created a business that fit into the life that I wanted to have,
Yeah.
rather than creating a business and then fitting my life into that.
Yep.
That's just
Yep.
not what I wanted. And I am 100% a believer in coaching. I've hired 3 coaches in my life. I 100% believe in it. But I knew for this season of life, like I did not have the time, honestly, and like the level of support from like a childcare standpoint to be able to dedicate or to really allocate time to be able to help coaching clients, because that would require me to show up on a specific day at a
Yeah.
specific time, and that just really wasn't the business I wanted to create. So I'm really trying to be able to create this business moving forward that doesn't lead me to burnout. I'm
Yeah.
I'm setting the boundaries in place. I've stopped doing everything because I know everyone's saying you need to be in all the places. No, you don't. Like
Mm-mm.
pick a lane, stay in it, put your blinders on from everyone else
Yeah.
because like you need to do what works best for you. And
Yeah.
honestly, the biggest thing is like where you can confidently show up consistently because
Yeah.
consistency is the key to everything, at least
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we talked about this on your podcast, but like, like energy management is the new time management. So
Yes.
it's really important for you to be in alignment with the things that are energetically aligned with you, like building your business the way you want to build it for the season of life that you're in. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship is no one's telling you you have to do it a certain way. I think it's easy to get wrapped up or roped into like, oh, I see what she's doing, so I should just do what she's doing. But we don't know her strengths. We don't know what she's energetic aligned. We don't know if she has young kids, older kids, empty net. Like we just don't know those things. And so it's really important for you to kind of check in with yourself, like you're saying, and build a business that really supports your life, not consumes your life. It's supposed to enhance your work. I mean, your work is supposed to enhance your life, not take it over, right? So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I don't know if we talked about this when I was on your podcast, but I took 9 months off of social media. Like and really I just intended to do it for 30 days, but I improved that you don't even have to be on any platform. I mean, I completely filled my practice without even being on social. So I love that you brought up like turn all the blinders off and just where do you want to show up and where can you show up the most authentic to have the impact that you want to have and build a business that you want to build. And it sounds like you found your sweet spot with your community. And again, if 6 months from now, a year from now, you might want to change that into something else. That's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is you get to build it your way and how you want to do it.
Definitely. And speaking of like evolving and changing, when I started this community, it was really important for me for there to be a free option.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that I was working
Yeah.
so hard for no like very little return.
Yeah.
And because I was providing so much value for free that people didn't want to upgrade to the paid version. So literally this morning, I sent out an email to my members and said, like, I literally have been trying to this has been sitting in my drafts for days at this point
Yeah.
because it's a hard email to send because it was so important for me to be able to have a space for people that were like me that didn't have the money, but I also know that I'm creating this business to be able to help my family. So it was like this big double-edged sword here. But I put out
Mm-hmm.
the thing saying that you're available, everything's available for you for 30 days. And at that point, like if you don't want to upgrade, then unfortunately we're gonna have to separate ways. No hard feelings, but I hope you understand that I have to, as especially as a mom, I'm having to prioritize my
Yeah.
time, put boundaries in place, and also make a living doing it. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah. I'm proud
something
of
that
you. That's awesome.
it was not an easy thing to do. I will tell you that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm I've already have 5 emails from women just saying like basically you go girl, like good for you.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
the paying members, but also it weeds out the people that maybe aren't as active in the community. So it was a hard
Yeah.
decision to make, but we made it and we're sticking with it.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I always like to think of it this way, and maybe this will help you, is that how is it in the best interest of these women that they have some skin in the game?
Because when there is skin in the game, you take it more seriously. I
Hmm.
will tell you, I right now I have today, this number is going to drop. And this is one of the things that I really had to come to terms with is that I'm
Yeah.
going to lose people.
Yep.
My community has been in place for a little over 4 months, and I have 165 members right now inside the community. I will tell you that engagement wise, there's probably about 10 to 15 people that actually alter and alternate showing up. And those are the
Yeah.
people that are paying because
Yeah.
people, again, they have skin in the game. You take
Yep.
things a lot more seriously when there is an investment. And I will tell you that my community isn't a big investment, but even just a few dollars here and there, like there's still skin in the game that requires
Yeah.
you to think about, oh, should I just sit on the couch and watch TV for this hour, or should I actually go in and learn from some experts on email marketing or whatever that may be for the month? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you're going to
Yeah.
be like, okay, well, I'm paying for this. I might as well show up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. I mean, to me, it just feels like in the highest level of service to my
Yes.
clients to call them up to a different level, to call them into paying attention. Because when you pay attention. And so I love this for you. And I love it even more for the women in your community because like you're calling them to level up, and to level up in their actions, to level up in all of the things because now there's a real skin in the game. So I think it's just a win-win. And that always helps me when I'm raising my prices or if I'm offering it. Like I literally was just visualizing these 10 to 12 women that you have that are constantly engaged. Like, could you take them through a group program, right? And that even be, down the road and something that's even a higher price point because you're going to be adding even more value in. So there's just so much opportunity that can be done there. But this was your first step. And I'm proud of you
Exactly.
for doing it and doing it scared and worried about you're going to lose people, right? But like I want the people that only want to be in my car. If you don't want to be in my car, that's fine. There's plenty of other cars for you to be in. But this is where we're going, and this is what I'm calling you to. And for
Yeah.
me, I feel like it's just at the highest of service to call people to that kind of investment because I know how I operate. If I'm investing in something,
Mhm.
even at a higher level, I'm going to get a higher transformation because the transformation is the
Absolutely.
transaction. That's where the transformation comes. Immediately when you invest, you immediately feel like, oh, I just did something big and I'm going somewhere big.
Yes. Well, and I think this is the a true testament to the power of investing in a coach too. It's
Yeah.
because entrepreneurship, I mean, and motherhood, both of
Yeah.
them, let alone one or the other, but both of them together too, it's a roller coaster. There are
Hmm.
times where you're feeling on top of the world and there are some low lows.
Yeah.
And I know that when I was planning out this community, I actually I think was coming at it from a state of lack. And I think I
Hmm.
made decisions based on that, thinking if you take a look at my Instagram profile, I'm going to say I only in air quotes have 800 followers. And at
Hmm.
that time it was even less. And I
Yeah.
was thinking, okay, who's really going to sign up for the community? I don't have a huge following. I haven't proved myself yet. But 800 people, if you have 800 people in one room, that's a lot of
That's
people.
a lot of people.
And
Yes.
all those people know another person, at least one person.
Yeah.
So that it just exponentially just gets greater and greater from that. And that's how I was able to get larger numbers in my community pretty quickly is by leveraging these connections, especially from the podcast that was
Yeah.
already created. But I think that I made these decisions thinking that why me? And
Hmm.
and I got to a point where I realized why not me?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not me and why not now? I mean, it's a great
Mhm.
question to ask and it's a great question to answer. I think sometimes we ask ourselves these questions, but then we don't spend the time answering them.
Yeah.
We just leave it at why me or why not me. But like you have to give yourself that answer, give your brain that evidence and that answer so it actually gets to work on helping you create that. So I'm really excited to see what happens with this new up level for you and for your group. That's super awesome. I did want to go back to the burnout for just a second because I think, again, a lot of women are listening and they've either experienced burnout or maybe they're in the middle of a burnout. What would you say helped you kind of work out of the burnout? Was it just getting focused? Like, was there anything you did physically for yourself or mentally for yourself? Or where do you feel like it really helps you to kind of get out of it once you're in it?
I think the biggest thing for me was giving myself permission to rest.
Mm,
Think
yeah.
as women specifically, we feel like we have to earn the rest in
Yeah.
order to do it. And I will say that you don't have to earn your rest. If you feel like
Hmm.
you need to take a second and veg on the couch for a little bit, veg on the couch. Like you're not going to stay there forever. You're going to feel better and you're going to get back up. But also, I think turning to a supportive network,
Hmm.
being open with sharing, being vulnerable with your coach or your friends or your online network, whatever that may be, like being open about this, because the more you talk about it, I know as a female, I feel better. It just gets off my chest. So I would say I
Yeah.
gave myself rest and I also had an outlet to be able to pour into when I needed it most.
Yeah.
But as moms, we don't really have the opportunity to totally unplug and do nothing. I still had my role of mom to a toddler that I had to do every single day. So it's like, yes, I was giving myself permission to rest, but I say that when I was instead of waking up earlier than my son or staying up a lot later than my son or working during nap time, I just said, you know what, I'll get to it later because right now I need a nap or my body literally feels like it can't do that. So just listen to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that you said kind of behind the scenes that I want to pull out for
Mhm.
people is not jumping into that all or nothing mentality where it's like I'm either all on as a mom or all off, or all on as the entrepreneur or all off. There is that happy medium in there, and it's you deciding and figuring out, okay, what is the most important things that what matters most right now in my business? Like, what are my three essentials? It's really hard as an entrepreneur to feel like everything is so important, but really, when you look at your goals, like what are the most essential things to do? And then just knowing you are the asset. I think that's the biggest thing. If I can, I mean, I'm going to like die on this hill when, I'm not going to be able to stop talking about it, is that you are the asset as a mom. You're the asset to your business. All other things depend on your health. And if you're just working on fumes, it's just not, you can't show up the way you want to. And it doesn't feel good either. But as high
Yeah.
achievers, we're like, well, I'll just get back to that someday. I'm just going to push through this, push through. It's just a season. That's kind of how we like mask it. Oh, it's just a season. I'm like, yeah, but you're still saying that 3 years later, that it's just
I
a
know, and
season.
I'm guilty of that too. Like I am guilty of
Oh, yeah,
completely
me
putting
too.
everyone else
Yeah.
first. But
Yeah.
when you're in an airplane, they say this, and I'm going to say this for a reason, but they always tell you to put the oxygen mask
Yeah.
on yourself first before your child. And it's because if you don't take care of yourself first, you are no good for your child.
Yeah.
Like that
Yep.
child won't get an oxygen mask on unless you put it on yours first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's so true. And we hear it, but it's just like, but I still, it's the but, right? But I still
I
have
know.
to do this. And especially if you're like used to, if you're high achieving, you're in that performance loop, you have to really redefine rest.
Yes.
You have to redefine what productivity looks like right now in this season. Again, my season of raising young adults is very different than when they were young, like yours. How I define productivity was very different back then as I do today. And there's no right or wrong. It's just what's the best thing for you, and asking your body and asking yourself every day, what do I need today to protect the asset so I can show up as the best mom I want to be, and show up as the best CEO as I want to be, and show up as the best coach, whatever you are. But you have to really just give yourself that space and time to ask those questions and listen. Your body will tell you. Your
Yes.
body will tell you.
Yes, you just have to listen, like you said. But you said it really well, I think, especially no matter what season you're in, to be able to always identify what are the most, like the three most important tasks that I really need to get done today. And that's really how I approach every single day because I'm
Yeah,
always doing something every single day in my business because I don't have the luxury of working all day, every day. When I'm with my son, I am 100% present with my son.
love
And when he's
that.
sleeping, I'm in the weeds here. So I always approach every day with, okay, what's the most important task that I should be doing now to be able to move my business forward? And that looks a
Yeah,
little bit different every single day, but that's how you have to approach things. So you get those immediate action steps done first. Everything else I look at as a bonus. And that has helped my mental state as well to be able to think about, okay, I finished, I checked all these boxes off. Everything else is just like extra glitter.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Earlier today, I was thinking about this. This is something that my coach said to me years ago, my very first coach, and has always stuck with me. And I shared with you before we started recording that I'm taking care of a family member right now who's going through some pretty hard medical stuff. And I remember I looked in the mirror this morning. I was just thinking about this season. I said, I'm so thankful that I have this flexible job. But also, one of the things my coach said to me was, if more money doesn't give you more time, you don't need more money. And what she meant by that was more time to spend with family if you needed to, more time to focus on only the things that you can do in your business, more time to hire, more time to take care of yourself, more time. Like, if more money doesn't give you more time, you don't need more money. Like, what are you going for this success? What are you doing? All these things. And that's always stuck with me because it's never about the money. It's what the money will do. But in this season that I'm currently in, I am so thankful that I have this time, and so there will be seasons of life where you'll be working on your business harder, and you'll be really focused in. I talked about this before, having that harmony, and your business is the really loud instrument that needs to play right now. And there's other times where it's got to be the family, right? And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is that you have that choice. So on the hard days, I'm speaking to all the mom entrepreneurs that are listening today, on those hard days where you're like, it's never going to grow, or, I can't imagine this business becoming anything, stick with it, but honor yourself and honor your peace and honor your energy in the process, because getting to the top of anything, if you have no one with you, is it defeats the whole purpose. And if you've
I
burnt
agree.
yourself out on the way up there, what's the point, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's why in coaching, they always have you identify what's your why. And the why has to be
Yeah.
great for yourself
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is going to be tough. And it's not necessarily what you always have, but also how you feel in those
Yep.
situations too.
Yeah.
So I think that's also like right now, it's not easy for you. You are dealing with a family member and you're also showing up today. I can imagine that this isn't an easy conversation to have because your mind had
Hmm.
to go from one thing to another really quickly to
Yeah.
transition modes. But your why is what allows you to show up here today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really respect you for being able to get to this point where you've built this business that you can take and have these moments with your family and still generate an income
Yeah.
for your family.
Yeah. It takes me, I don't know if it's a Ziglar quote, but another quote that my coach said to me years ago. And she said, if you do the things you need to do when you need to do them, the day will come when you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. And I remember, I was just building my business in the beginning. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to be on the other side of that equation where I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Right now, it feels hard and I'm grinding and I'm building and that building phase. And it is a beautiful thing when you get on the other side. Not that you ever have a finish line. There's always work to be done. There's always going to be more work to do. There's always going to be more laundry to do. Like there's always going to be more.
Yeah.
You just have to decide it's enough. And all
Yeah.
you can do is all you can do. And it has to be enough. If
I
not,
agree.
yeah,
But also, I think it is gonna it is a little bit more difficult than potentially taking, I'm gonna say the quote unquote safe route because I don't think that like taking a
yeah.
9 to 5 job is safe anymore.
No, uh-uh.
But it's a little bit more of a laid out path for you rather than like trying to figure out this
Yeah,
roller coaster of
yeah,
entrepreneurship. But I think that entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not for everyone
true.
because it does take a lot of mindset work. But people find the people that this is a quote somewhere, and I'm going to totally butcher it right now.
It's
But
okay.
it's not about talent, about how talented you are, but it's about how consistent and persistent and
Yeah,
resilient you are. So I think the people that see the success, whatever that may be for you,
yeah,
is because they showed up day after day after day, despite
hmm,
the ups and the downs, and they didn't give up.
yeah.
They pivoted, they reiterated in order to figure out how to make it work versus potentially giving up because you might give up literally a day before
The
your life
breakthrough.
really changes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I've seen it happen. I've seen people like one decision away from a completely different business from a positive standpoint. I've also seen them from a completely different
Yeah,
business from a negative standpoint, right? So it's just sticking with it. And I know you're big on community, and you don't have to do it alone. There's coaches
exactly.
out there, there's communities out there, and another hill that I just stand really high on is you cannot do this alone. You can, but it's a lot harder. And you can go further faster when you have a community, people who are like, oh, I'm having a bad day today. And they're going to help you. They're going to pick you back up. Right. Or just seeing the possibility, like being in a mastermind, being in a community. That's what I love about community groups or masterminds is being in a room where I'm seeing so much possibility. Even if I don't feel like I'm in the land of possibility, I'm in my problem, I'm in my stuckness. I see other people having their breakthroughs. I see other people having that success. And it's really just like they put their pants on the same way I do, one leg at a time. And so if they can do it, I can do it too. And so that's just really important to have that community. So tell people where they can connect with you and your community if they want more information about that.
You can always go to my website, just selfstarter.com, where you can find out more about the community and the podcast there. And then I love having conversations. So find me on Instagram. I like to consider myself a friendly person. So pop into the DMs and say hi because
Yeah.
I love to get to know you and see how I can support you. And that's not a sales pitch, it's a genuine connection pitch.
You are very genuine. You're very easy to talk to too. So we'll put links to everything in the show notes for them so they can easily find you. And if you could leave the listeners with just one final thought, all the mom entrepreneurs out there, what would you want them to know?
So when I first started this podcast, my tagline was start today for you, start today for her, and be a self-starter. And I would say like just get started because literally taking that first step is the hardest step and it gets easier and easier from there. But like believe in yourself and just know that we've got your back here too. So take that
Yeah.
first step and just get started.
Yeah. I love that. So many dreams are left on the table because someone was afraid to start. You just got to get
Exactly.
started.
Just
Yeah.
get started.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me, Martine, and sending all the love to you and your family right now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, friends, we'll catch you on another episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.